The Atacama Desert covers 49,000 square miles, comprising the whole of northern Chile, bordering Peru, Bolivia, and Argentina. We enter Chile over ALMA Pass and follow Route 27. Lingkankabur volcano looms large along the highway. We arrive at our destination, San Pedro de Atacama. After an unintended city tour, we eventually find our way to our hotel, Arana Tolachi. In the morning, we're doing something completely different. We're visiting ALMA. ALMA is the Atacama Large Millimeter submillimeter array. So what's that, you ask? It's an array of 66 antennas on a 16,000-foot high plateau. These antennae pick up signals from space, which are combined to obtain extremely high precision images. By using a technique called interferometry, the images from the array are equivalent to that of a single antenna with a diameter equal to the farthest distance between the antenna. In ALMA, that's up to 16 kilometers. For visualization, the signals are mapped into the visual spectrum and may be combined with images from other telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope. The results are pretty spectacular. We weren't allowed to visit the antennas. Even the visiting astronomers don't go there. And when they do, they're required to wear supplemental oxygen. But we got a great tour of the Operations Support Facility, which is at 12,000 feet. First, there's an orientation and introduction to the concepts. It takes a while to grasp that the signals being received today originated in a distant galaxy 200 million years ago. In the labs, there's plenty of hardware. This is a front-end cryostat that amplifies and converts the signals. The signal processors are kept at 4 degrees Kelvin or minus 452 degrees Fahrenheit to prevent introducing noise into the signal. This is one of the 9 signal processors in each antenna, each for a different set of wavelengths. This is the secondary mirror that sits on top of the antenna. It captures the signal reflected by the antenna's dish and reflects it to the signal processors. In the control room, the astronomer in charge explained what was going on today. The current observations involve 44 of the 66 antennas. Astronomers from all over the world make proposals for time on the array, but only a small percentage can be accommodated. Next stop on the tour is the transporter. They are used to reconfigure the array on the plateau and when necessary bring them back to the OSF for maintenance. The vehicles are 33 feet wide and 66 feet long and weigh 143 tons without the antenna. There are 2 transporters. We watched the other one relocate an antenna via a live feed from the plateau. Well, it's been a great morning. After lunch, we'll explore the desert landscape. Our next stop is the Valley of the Moon. This unit of the Flamingo National Reserve is more like my mental picture of what a desert should be. The Atacama is one of the driest places on Earth, second only to the McMurdo dry valleys of Antarctica. The average annual rainfall is 0.6 of an inch. It may be the oldest desert on Earth and has been dry for maybe as much as 200 million years. The rough terrain here has been used to test prototype Mars rovers. The extremely low humidity, even at altitude, causes the clouds to be thin and wispy. The Valley of the Moon is a popular tourist destination because of the dramatic stone and sand formations. The almost total lack of precipitation is because the Atacama is located between the Andes and the Chilean coastal range, blocking moisture from the Pacific and the Atlantic. Only the highest mountains, over 20,000 feet, have some permanent snow coverage. In the Valley of the Moon, We found no flora or fauna. We're searching for wildlife in the Suncor section of the Flamingo National Reserve. The Atacama Salt Lake is home to 3 different species of flamingo, as well as several species of shorebirds. The Andean flamingo is one of the rarest flamingos. It's considered vulnerable due to mining operations and other human disturbances. These sandpipers breed in northern tundra from eastern Siberia to western Greenland. Then they winter here in South America. Puna is the name given to the ecosystems of the high central Andes above 10,500 feet, which is the home of this plover. Heading further south, we're visiting another of the surprisingly diverse ecosystems of the Atacama Desert. The vicuña is a wild camelid. They live at 10,500 to 15,700 feet. They feed on nutrient-poor, tough bunch grass that grow at this altitude. The Miniques Lagoon and Lake Miscanti are the center of this section of the Flamingo National Reserve. These brackish water lakes are fed by groundwater from snowmelt in the Cordon de Puntas Negras, seen here in the background. These oases in an otherwise arid landscape attract birds large and small. So what about people? Human history in the central Atacama can be traced back to 500 AD. In the 15th century, the Incas conquered the indigenous people. The Spanish arrived in 1535 and annexed the area to the Spanish Empire in 1556. This church in Socari dates to the colonial period. This bell tower in Toconaco dates from 1750. The cactus wood door is original. We've covered a lot of territory today. It's back to San Pedro de Atacama for dinner. In the morning, we head north of San Pedro to explore more of the diverse ecosystems that are the Atacama. Our first stop is near the town of Machuca. We're amazed that there are rivers in this arid environment. This is the Rio Grande, which is only relatively large. It's a good place to see all 3 species of flamingo. The James or Puna flamingo has red legs and bright yellow on its bill with the black at the tip. The Andean flamingo has yellow legs and the bill is yellow with more black than the James. The Chilean flamingo has gray legs with pink knees. Their bill is gray with more black than the other species. The juveniles are gray with black legs for all 3 species. As they mature, you can identify species by their bill first. The James or Puna flamingo was thought to have gone extinct until a remote population was discovered in 1956. Since then, conservation efforts have improved their numbers, but they're still threatened from habitat destruction. Flamingos are filter feeders, sifting the lake water for microscopic algae and diatoms. The rivers in this part of the Atacama are fed by snowmelt and underground aquifers from the surrounding mountains. Flamingos share this ecosystem with shorebirds and ducks. Our next stop is another river with the unflattering name of Rio Putana. On the way, we spot llamas and vicuñas grazing in a marsh. Rio Putana is more marsh than river, but the water flows clear and clean, and it's full of vegetation that the residents feed on. This is not a flamingo ecosystem. The residents here feed primarily on the aquatic plants. The giant coot is equipped with giant feet to navigate floating islands of vegetation. We watched this pair of coots building a nest. The male would bring a mouthful of plant material, and the female would do the decorating, placing the plants in just the right spot. The Andean goose has adapted to live exclusively at over 10,000 feet. The overwintering Baird's sandpiper seems to be everywhere there's water. Fresh or brackish, it doesn't seem to matter. There are ducks here too. And small birds patrol the shore looking for insects. The Tocopori volcano looms over the river environment. You can see the sulfur around the vents at the top of the volcano. The sight of an active volcano reminds us that we are on the Ring of Fire, and there are several active volcanoes near here. So our next stop is El Tatio of Geyser Field. The first impression is another salt flat, but El Tatio is the third largest geyser field in the world and the largest in the southern hemisphere. The field covers 12 square miles at elevations of 13,800 to 15,100, making it the highest geyser field in the world. Well, not Yellowstone, which is the largest geyser field. It does have boiling water fountains, hot springs, geysers, mud pots, and mineral terraces. The field once numbered 67 geysers and more than 300 hot springs. Like other bodies of water in Atacama, the source is an aquifer fed by snowmelt in the surrounding mountains. Some geysers erupt to 33 feet, but usually they don't exceed 3 feet. The water temperature is between 140 and 176 degrees Fahrenheit. The water picks up minerals as it travels underground, which is then deposited in terraces around the hot springs and geysers. Fumaroles release steam and a variety of gases, mainly carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. Even in this high and harsh environment, we find wildlife. On the way back to San Pedro, we stopped to photograph the vicuña in a little greener environment. We're up very early this morning for the long drive from San Pedro de Atacama to Salta, where we'll spend the night and then fly to Buenos Aires tomorrow morning. Wolfgang says no photo stops unless it's really spectacular. Lama in front of Laguna volcano seemed to qualify. After that, we settled back and watched the scenery roll by.